And I'm live. Guess what, folks? I have not done a single vocal warm up. And I have been drained in all of my speaking training. You should warm up. I don't even know. Can you see me? Can you hear me? There's a couple people here. Please give me a thumbs up or type in the comment. That's even better. Can you hear me? Can you see me? Look at me. I can sing even though I haven't done a vocal warm up. Yay! I got a thumbs up. I'm going to assume that you can see me and you can hear me. And there's people here, which is delightful. Here's the thing. Authenticity is valuable. I had lipstick on my teeth. I could feel it. I just wiped it off and I did not do a vocal warm up. So, shall we do one together? Holland, Jim, hello. It is good to see you. Let's do a vocal warm up together. And then I want to hear, where are you? Quickly, right now with me, take stock of your face. Notice, is the energy in your face high or low? Is the energy in your face pleasant or less so? It's a quick way to get a scientific measurement. And then do some trilling with your lips. It is the weirdest way to warm up your voice. I can already hear a difference in my voice. And I'm a huge scientist. I am a clinician, which makes me a clinical scientist. And so I measure data before and after an intervention. I didn't do a vocal warm up. I don't know where you are in the world. I do want to hear that. And it may or may not be something you need or want to do, but do you want more looseness in your face? And then let's do a couple like up and down. You can go. Clearly, I'm not that good at that range, but if nothing else, I'm laughing at myself today. Well, 5 of you are here. I'm playing with the camera. It's in a little different location. So if you see me jonking around, please have some grace. My name is Dr. Renee Ostertag. I am tuning in from Denver, Colorado. Where in the world are you? This is seriously my favorite thing about YouTube Lives is I get to meet people from around the world. Literally, I have had conversation this past week with a gentleman from India, a woman from England, and there was somebody else somewhere from Scandinavia, I think Sweden. And it's just so cool that I get to yay! I get to connect with people from around the world. And I love hearing from you. And Holland Gem, you are from State College, Pennsylvania. Your face feels more relaxed after that exercise. See, that's the thing that's so exciting to me. My name is Dr. Renee Ostertag, living in Denver, Colorado. Where are you tuning in from? I am tuning in as a licensed doctor of physical therapy, and I am also a psychotherapist because, inconveniently or not, joints don't live in a silo. And I realized after several years of working as a PT that joints are connected to our thinking, feeling, behaving, relationships, environment, past and present. All of that influences our nervous system. And I help people train and develop the skills to become more of a nervous system in their own, to become more of a, whoa. Do you see this right now? I'm tripping over my own words. That is an example of these circuits here are in a bit of a freeze response. A nervous system ninja is what I help people become. And I do that by being that myself. And a nervous system ninja doesn't mean that I get it perfect all the time, nor does it mean you get it perfect all the time. It means we embrace the authentic fallibility of our human messiness. And we mess up words and we mess up life situations. But the more ninja like I become in my nervous system, right, the more flexible and adaptable between different states within my own circuit, between different contexts of life, the more flexible and nimble I become, the more joyful life becomes. And the less I shame myself, the less my inner critic beats the living freaking hell out of me. And the more compassion I have for myself, and the more just embarrassed and playful I am with the mistakes that I make. So welcome, welcome, welcome. We've got the lovely Holland Gem chiming in from State College, Pennsylvania. Who else is here and where are you chiming in from? I'll tell you who else is here. My dog, Marcus Barkus. Watch this. These are treats. That's a sleeping dog. Watch who can change his state quickly. Did you see that? He can change his state really quickly. This is sensory input to him. It's sound. Oh, Marcus. We're going to do a little show off here. Can you sit? He's not really in the camera, but you get the point. Good, sit. Okay, we're going to try a kind of new trick. I'm going to have him do something I don't normally let him do. Marcus, up. Okay, up. Come on up. Up. Yes, up. Come on, up. Up. There it is. Did you see that? He did it. You guys, it's so good. We can train nervous systems to do different things, and treats help. Skills help. Marcus, again, up. Come on, up, up. I know this is different for him. He doesn't normally do this. Marcus, up. There's a good boy. Did you see his scarf? Come here. Come here. Oh, he's a little camera shy, but look at that boy. Oh, look at that boy. He has the cutest little Valentine's Day bandana on for all of you. It says, I woof you. So, Mr. Marcus Barkus Aurelius, he is my biggest teacher on how to become a nervous system ninja. He tells me honestly the state of my affairs of my own nervous system, if I'm high energy or low energy. He tells me, and he helps me learn how to train. And that is why we're here today. Everybody's quiet today. Come on, give me something. It's really hard for me to have a conversation with a camera and no engagement. It really is humbling and beautiful to recognize that I really do need people. It's hard to have conversations by yourself all the time. Maybe I should go watch, what's his name? Forrest Gump, when he's on that movie, in the movie on an island by himself for Castaway. Did you watch Castaway? Who watched Castaway? He talked to a volleyball. I haven't seen it, but I feel like I'm living it right now because nobody's engaging with me. And there's Scott Lee. Good to see you, buddy. Top of the morning to ya. Oh my gosh, thank you for just letting me know there's another person on the other end of this. And here's Margaret. You're here now from Scotland. I love it. I love it. I wish I could do a better Scottish accent, Margaret, and I'm sure that I'm botching it tremendously, but here you are. I don't even know where I am. I'm in Denver, not with a very good Scottish accent, my friends. Okay, all right. We've got some people here. We're getting engaged. I don't need to get a fake volleyball and put it next to me so that I have somebody to talk to circa Castaway. Margaret, Scott, Holland, Jem, it's great to have you all here. And there's a few other people also here that haven't chimed in yet. And that is okay. I would still love to hear from you. Maybe you're in a freeze response. That's okay. That happens to me all the time. And when I'm in a freeze, I don't have good physiological access to my voice. That, my friends, is not a character flaw. Mm. I have been doing a series, Freeze to Flirt. And this is going to be the final one in that series. And we're going to see what happens next. It's very exciting. And they say that a teacher is somebody who is willing to learn in public. And they also say teachers often teach what they need to learn. And I am Renee Ostertag, licensed doctor of physical therapy, also a psychotherapist, and plenty of my own trauma history, circuits of my own flight, fight, freeze that I got stuck in for many years. And it created a whole host, a milieu, if you will, of health issues, both physical health, mental health, and relational health. I struggled for like 20 years to find a good, healthy partnership. I have had hypertension, IBS, neck pain, back pain, anxiety, depression, all the things. And none of those are character flaws. They are natural expressions of a dysregulated nervous system. And I remember one day sitting in a therapy office watching watching the EMDR lights go back and forth. And EMDR is a trauma treatment, eye movement desensitization retraining. And it helps with renegotiating or reorganizing how a particular memory lives inside your brain or your nervous system, because it's not just your brain, and your nervous system goes throughout your whole body, which is relevant. So I'm sitting in this EMDR session, watching the lights, thinking about how, my mom died when I was young and my dad was horribly depressed after. And I realized I didn't want any of those things to happen. And here's the thing I find interesting. My mom had headaches for months before she died, and then she had a brain aneurysm. And on some level, I didn't realize as a physical therapist that I was trying to control the outcomes of my patients to get them to listen to their bodies, because maybe if they listened to their bodies, I could somehow change the fact that my mom didn't listen and ended up dead, which is just a tragic story. And there's so much more to it. And there's other ways to look at that. But in this EMDR session, I realized I was trying to control something in the present that was outside of my locus of control as a way of trying to control something in the past that I had no control over. And those are just the fucked up tragedies of life. They happen to all of us. There's things that we don't want to happen that happen, and they are outside of our control. Tell me, can you relate to what I'm saying? Have you had something in your life that you didn't want to happen, that you didn't like, that was horrible and terrible, and it was outside of your control? Has that happened to you? And what did you do with that? I would be so curious to hear from all of you. What did you do in response to the thing that happened that you didn't want to happen? Me? Raise your hands, because I have two. I went control. I'm going to try and control that, which I don't ultimately have control over because it feels bad and I want to feel better. And so that impetus for me that day in the EMDR session was this big wake up call of wow, that is suffering. When I am trying to control the thing that I have no control over, that's suffering. And I made a decision. I made a choice. I put my flag in the ground that I was just going to get better at controlling that which I had control over, which ultimately is my own skin encased body and my nervous system that runs it, or at least has a lot to do with that. So, hello, WCD speakers. Miss Willeen, it is great to see you. You always do your best to talk it out and identify what's going on and then release it. that is a brilliant strategy. And I know we've had conversations where we've done that before. And talking it out is a brilliant strategy. And in fact, that's part of why I do these things is because I'm learning myself, which I learn through talking and seeing myself and other people. And when we talk, we're actually exhaling because you can't talk on the inhale. We can't talk when we're inhaling. We need to talk when we're exhaling. So it's really cool, Willeen, that you're saying I talk it out, right? Because that thing that's bad lives in me, in my perception, and it's stored in my nervous system running circuits. And so when I talk it out, I'm actually exhaling, I'm actually letting go. Talking is a form of exhalation. Breathe in, breathe out, let it go. When we talk it out, we let it go. Notice your body right now. It feels good for me to talk it out and let it go. And then register that I'm doing that with my conscious attention and awareness and noticing how that feels in my body. There's more calm energy there. So, have you ever heard the statement, we see the world not as it is, but as we are? I have a really cool example of this, and I will link it ultimately back to control. Welcome, everybody that's here. I see people coming in and out, and I just want you to know that I'm glad you're here. I would love to hear where you are chiming in from. We are talking today about how to optimally control your own nervous system, or at least influence it, so that you stop trying to control things that you don't have control over, because ultimately that's a great recipe for suffering. When we try to control that which we don't have control over, we suffer. That does not mean we're a control freak. It means you're a normal human being. We all need a sense of control, just like we need oxygen and we need water and food and clothing and shelter. Like, a need of control is a basic need. It's not a character flaw on your part. Margaret's talking about talking it out. Margaret, I'm so glad you're here. I know I owe you an email too, by the way. So she says talking it out, saying it out loud for herself, or talking with someone else. Yes, both, right? Name it to tame it. I don't know who said it originally either. I say it a lot. And I think the reason why it works is because when we give something a name, it helps soothe our left brain that needs logic and reason, and it operates on language. And so when we can name something, it takes away the uncertainty, which is often fearful for people. So when we can give something language, it helps quiet the unknown, the uncertainty, and all of the threats, stress, and fear that goes along with that. And you're also naming it because part two tames, because you're giving it a voice, you're talking, you're exhaling, right? And you can talk to somebody that's a safe person. You can talk to yourself. I literally have a woman that I'm working with right now that has all kinds of neck pain because she had a fusion. No, she's avoiding a fusion. She had a fusion in her lumbar spine. That didn't go well. And now the surgeons are saying in her neck, she needs a neck fusion, and she's got dizziness and anxiety and all these things. And she's discovering these tools, these hacks, these things she can do to downregulate her nervous system and feel better. And one of the tools is she just talks out loud to herself. Oh, Scott, you're a much better listener. I can see that, because you haven't been very chatty today. And this is not me shaming you. This is just saying that I love being listened to and I love talking. It's just context. Who am I with? And is there an overall reciprocity in the giving and the receiving? And when we talk out loud to ourselves, that's a gift that we're giving to ourselves. And when we talk out loud to another, that's a gift that we're giving also to ourselves, the gift of being witnessed. I do find that I suffer less when I'm being witnessed by a safe person. If I'm just talking at somebody and they're not present or available to listen, that's not very pleasing to me. So, okay. Any other questions, comments? Bring them on. It's a quieter crowd today, and that is okay. Right? Sometimes we need quiet, sometimes we need loud. So, today, the final in the Freeze to Flirt series, I want to start with this idea that we see the world not as it is, but rather as we are. And a quick example, there's an apartment, a condo in my building that the owner's going to rent out. And I was telling my friend about it, and she said, "Oh, what's it like?" I said, "I don't know. Let me ask the woman who lives there." And I said, "How is the unit? Would you recommend it to somebody?" And she gave me a 4 text message long paragraph after paragraph about how awful it is and how terrible the landlord is and how he's not responsive and there's all these problems and mold and this and that and that. So, based on her perception, I would not recommend that apartment to my friend. But then, lucky for me, I knew the people that lived there before the current tenant, and I reached out to them. No context. I said, "Hey, what was your experience in the apartment? Would you recommend it?" And she said, "Absolutely. It was fantastic. The landlord was great. He was super responsive to anything and everything that we ever needed. It was wonderful. Hands down, I'd recommend it in a heartbeat. Do you want me to connect you with the landlord?" And it's such a fascinating story because to me anyway, the apartment is the apartment. Like the world is as it is, right? We see the world not as it is, but as we are. So here's these two different tenants, renters that lived in the same unit. One had a wonderful experience, the other had a terrible experience. And both experiences are valid. Both experiences are real and true, and there's nothing right or wrong about either. It's simply data that we see the world not as it is, but as we are. And here's where I get into the piece around control. I'm going to have a better life experience if I'm seeing the world like the option 2 tenants that loved it. I'm going to have a more terrible time in the world if I'm seeing the apartment and the world like option the one that hates the place. And can we change the place that we're in? No. Can we change how we see it? Yes. Please hear me. Nobody's bad or wrong. And most of the time, our perceptions are so subconsciously wired that it's not us, it's our nervous system driving the perceptions. So, Freeze to Flirt. This will not be the last time you see this. This is a map that I very often use to orient myself to my nervous system. This is the mood meter. I created a modified version to suit my needs and how I use it. It's not yet on my website, so if you'd like a copy, please email me at info@greentreemind.com. And Margaret, I know I owe you an email. X and Y axis. This mood meter was created based on science by Mark Brackett, who founded the Yale Center of Emotional Intelligence, to teach us emotional skills because they're pretty atrocious in the Western Hemisphere. The average American, anyway, knows about 3 emotions: happy, sad, mad. And if you want a wholehearted life, you need at least 30. So, lucky for us, Mark Brackett came up with 100 words and associated them with 4 colors. So, here is energy. Low energy is green and blue. High energy is red and yellow. Pleasantness over here. Green and yellow are higher pleasant. Red and blue are lower pleasant. And I'm just going to give you a few key words. Yellow is enthusiastic, inspired, optimistic, proud, hopeful, lively. Green, restful, satisfied, calm, at ease, content, loving, grateful, cozy. Blue, sad, depressed, miserable, glum, disappointed, disgusted, despondent. Red, troubled, concerned, repulsed, uneasy, tense or jittery, furious, worried, frightened, panicked. None of these words are bad or good or right or wrong. They're just more pleasant and less pleasant, and they help us to orient to our own nervous system. We see the world not as it is, but as we are. I gave the example of the apartment and the two different renters. The first renter who said, I hate the place, the landlord's terrible. She's coming from a physiology of red and blue. I know both of these parties quite well because I lived next door to them. One's more struggling with red and blue, depression, anxiety, loneliness. This poor woman is terribly lonely. And her place is awful because we see the world not as it is, but as we are. And this is not a character flaw of hers. It's just how her nervous system got wired based on a whole bunch of factors, most of which she didn't have any control over. The other people, I love the apartment. I love the landlord. He's fantastic. I feel supported. They were living more in yellow and green. Again, not that they're better, even though their experience was probably better. It's just that their nervous system had more wiring in yellow and green. And we've talked on here about our different selves, right? The favorite self of mine is very yellow. My most familiar self chemically has been in the past very red, and I'm actively working on rewiring that. My most dreaded self was blue. I really haven't enjoyed these experiences in life. And my least familiar self was green. Calm, peaceful, blessed, grateful, balanced. Those were words that were not a part of my daily vernacular, and I had to train my nervous system. So that's a question for you to think about. What's your favorite self? What's your least favorite self? What's your most familiar self, right? Chemically, what's most familiar to you? And I'm not saying that you like it or that it's comfortable for you, but it's chemically comfortable. It's more familiar. And how do you know what that is? Look around your life. Look at your physical health, your mental health, your relational health, your financial health. Those are all indicators of where your nervous system is, and it's not you, it's your nervous system. This is not a flaw or a fault of your character. It's just how your nervous system is wired, and I find a lot of hopefulness that we can change it once we know how. So, what's your favorite self, least favorite self, most familiar self, least familiar self? And tell the truth about that, right? Give that a voice. Is that what you want? And if not, what do you want it to be? I'm definitely talking at all of you today. I hope it's not coming across that way. There's just where am I, right? I can do a pulse check right now. My energy is like a 6 and my pleasantness is, I don't know, maybe a 2. I'm troubled. There's less people on the live today. Then my brain makes up a story that I'm just going to fail and die. Talk about catastrophic thinking, my friends. Can I control where I'm at? Not if I don't tell the truth about where I'm at. Willeen, yellow is my favorite. Red is my least favorite. And green is my most comfortable. Whoo, that's really beautiful. Who else is here? And what other selves would you like to share with us? What's your favorite? What's your least favorite or most dreaded? What is your most familiar? And what is your least familiar? Ever since I started this, I decided I wanted green to be my most familiar and my favorite. You can have 2 for 1 here as a in the dojo of nervous system ninja training, and it's been quite honestly a bit of a challenge. I've felt uncomfortable as I'm shifting the thermostat setting of my nervous system, right? There's this default mode network, and as we shift it, we're going to have some withdrawal. Like I had to really sit with the feeling of bored and I had to stop myself from creating chaos and drama because that was my most familiar self, that red. Okay, friends, I want to share with you now an exercise that you can do. First of all, this is really exciting because once we have a map and we can start naming things, we can tame them and then we can discover how they live in the body. And also, I do need to do a medical disclaimer, and we'll just pretend I did this a half an hour ago. This is strictly educational in nature. So, if you are having any sort of medical, mental, physical health challenge or crisis, please reach out to a healthcare professional. I am a healthcare professional, and you can reach out to me by having a free consult. But for you and me and this YouTube live, this is strictly educational in nature. I want you to join me in moving your body a little bit. If we were playing charades right now and you wanted to put your body in a high or higher energy state, what would you do? And I want you to like move your body, like show me charades. What does high energy look like? I'm doing it right now. I'm raising up my posture. I'm more animated and I guess technically charades like I shouldn't be talking, but like look at me. Right? Like I'm giving you verbal, nonverbal communication of higher energy. You can do it too. And I encourage you, do a high energy posture, do a high energy position, maybe even stand up. High energy, prove to yourself that you can change the arousal in your nervous system. Notice how you feel when you make it go a little higher energy. I have a little more life force running through me. This is credible evidence, my friends. I can change the arousal level of my nervous system by moving my body, right? We can make high energy happen by moving our body. Now, charades again. I want you to go low energy. Communicate to me. Oh, God, I want to cry. Right? Like, even just going into. So, join me. By the way, the other day I told a patient, I'm like, tears are like lube. It makes stuck things flow better. So if you have a negative story around tears, which I certainly do in my past, like just celebrate. Tears are like lube and they get things flowing better, more smooth. So invite me as you go into a lower energy posture. My body, right? I'm kind of like sinking down. And I'm going into that like dreaded place, but I'm also aware of the fact that what my nervous system is expecting isn't happening. Like, I'm not going to die if I lower my energy. I need to use my logical brain sometimes to convince my nervous system that changing states is good. And as I go into like low energy, right? Like I'm charades communicating. It's actually low pleasant and low energy. Maybe I could find high pleasant, low energy. Isn't it nice to know that we can change these things? Remember now, as you come out of low energy, you can go high again, right? We can go into low energy and we can go into high energy. We can change the arousal of our nervous system, my friends. This is phenomenally huge, credible evidence to you because we have this kind of collective narrative that there's just things that are the way they are and you can't change them. You can't change a diagnosis. You can't change bulging discs. You can't change pain. All of that is BS, my friends. We can change all of it once we know how to negotiate our own nervous system. Holland Gem, you're working now to shifting with yoga and meditation and exercise. I'm moving more into yellow and green more often. You are proof, Holland Gem. You are credible evidence that our nervous system is plastic and we can change it. And that, my friends, is such a gift. All right. Now, today's topic is called 4D perspective taking. And I want to share with you something I did with a patient. Um, Here's the thing. Yoga, meditation, exercise, Holland Gem. That's how you're moving into yellow and green more often. Beautiful. If you aren't doing this already, I invite you to soak and savor the yellow and green and let yourself spend 12 seconds really noticing the body and the experience and being present to that. Safety, goodness, love, joy. It takes 12 seconds of focused attention to wire itself in to our nervous system, right? A positive based emotion takes 12 seconds to encode itself into our long term memory. Guess how long fear takes, my friends? 3 seconds. So, fear, threat, circuits get wired in, literally encoded into our long term memory a whole lot faster. So it's really important as you're doing this work to soak and savor with that 12-second focused attention. SS12, soak and savor for 12. There's this cool neuroscience research on what makes up a happy brain. Richard Davidson out of UCSF talked about 4 distinct separate circuits. Number 1 circuit, the ability to sustain joyful states for a very long period of time. In other words, can you get into yellow circuits and not can you get there, but can you maintain them for a long time? That's the first circuit required for a happy brain. The second circuit is how quickly do you recover, right? So when you go into red and blue, what's your recoverability? How easily is it for you to get into yellow and green? And because they're 4 independent circuits, what happens is people can feel yellow for a really long period of time, but then if some life event occurs and they go into red and blue, it's like they're lost wandering in the dark and they can't find their way back to yellow. And this is exactly what happened to my neighbor. And it's exactly what happens to me. I stay stuck in these red, high energy places because blue is perceived as just so bad to my nervous system. It's a part of life. I've had to learn how to train myself to become more tolerant of it and to change my state. But I had to train my nervous system to recover, to go from red and blue to yellow and green. And it sounds like that's what Holland Gem is doing. It's what My neighbor probably would be happy if she were to be able to do that. And it's what my patient and I worked on. So there's two other circuits that we're not going to talk about today, but they're relevant. One is being generous. And I am very generous here with my time with all of you. I don't get paid for any of this, but I'm sharing this valuable information because it will change your life. It's changed mine and it changes the lives of my patients. So, generosity is another important circuit for a happy brain. And then the final circuit is the ability to focus and avoid distraction, right? Not get caught up in the rabbit and the squirrely, shiny object. My dog and I do a lot of training on focus when it comes to rabbits. Happy Year of the Rabbit, by the way. Scott, thank you for that feedback. I'm really glad this is helpful for you. So let's get into the exercise. And then I really would love some more feedback because there's people here. My goodness. I am happy that you're here. Thank you for being here. This matters. This is how you make your life better, my friends, is showing up to do things. Do what you always did, get what you always got. Do something different, get something different. Let's do something different. So here's what I did with my a woman, a patient of mine. We talked about 4D perspective taking. So I am about to go rapper style, and you're about to see, you can see it on the floor there, my 4 square twister board, right? And so here I've got green, here is blue, here is red, and here is yellow. Sorry, you can't see my face. So here's what I did with this woman. I said, okay, I'm going to have you stand in each of the 4 quadrants. I'm going to have you look at this little book and from the place that you are standing, I want you to tell me what you see. Okay? We see the world not as it is, but as we are. So this is just a little book that somebody gave me. It's You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero. It's a little mini book. So she takes this and just, it's sitting right there. And she goes, okay, I'm going to start in green. And she sits down in like Buddha pose. And she grabs the book and she holds it. And she closes her eyes and gets really still for a moment. And then she says, I'm really grateful for all of the work that I've done to be able to get to a place where I can live and breathe into knowing that it's true. And then it was like, cool. That's how green experiences this book. And then I said, okay, where do you want to go next? And she said, and she stands up and she goes over to red. And then she takes the book and she literally throws it across the room. It was freaking hilarious, right? It's the same book, but from a red place, she wanted nothing to do with it and just threw it across the room. From a green place, she was very calm and peaceful. I said, that's great. So now you're done with red, you're done with green, go to blue. So then she stands in blue. And remember, we can change our state, right? So she's standing there. I'm not standing because otherwise I'm cut off. She stands here holding it and just like sinks down lower and lower. And she just like, this is not true. It's never going to be true. I hate the people that wrote this. I'm never going to be a badass. It's not going to happen for me ever. I said, good. That's blue. And notice, like, I can recover from this because she could recover from it because together we could train this, like the ability to move into these different states and change and shift. So then the last one was the hardest for her. Her words. She said, oh gosh, yellow. I don't know. This is going to be tough. So she gets up, she goes over to yellow, and I'm going to just move it closer so you can see my face. She's standing in yellow and she's like, oh, it takes her a minute to get there. And then she's looking at the words on the yellow chart and she's like cheerful, motivated. She's like, you know what? I can do this. Let me see. And she opens it up and she says, reading, remember that done is better than perfect. And you know what? I don't have it all perfect. I'm not going to get there today or tomorrow, but I'm really excited for what's ahead in my future. And I said, awesome. So she did 4D perspective taking. She literally stood in the 4 different quadrants. We don't see the world as it is, we see it as we are. She got to experience this book in 4 different ways. The book is just the book, it's her 4 dimensional perspective taking that allows her to see the world differently. Margaret, Holland Gem. Love, Medicine, and Miracles is a book by a guy named Bernie Siegel about changing diagnoses and behavior. Yes, yes, yes. All of these things are changeable and plastic. We do need to consider that that possibility could be real and true for us. And we need to be given the skills to know how to do that. And I think sometimes it's luck. It's also a lot of grit and it's a willingness to be uncomfortable because learning is uncomfortable. Margaret, I'm really glad this is helpful for you. And now I want to move into a 4D perspective taking with all of you together. So you are going to create 4 squares in your world. Okay. So just stand up, increase your energy. And now I've got this fancy thing here. You clearly don't need a fancy thing. Just pick 4 spots. Say, okay, in my place that I'm in, this is green, this is blue, this is red, this is yellow. Okay, so take a moment, get up, do it. And we're going to just do this little 4D perspective taking together. It's very exciting. This is proof that you can change your states, my friends. Oh, Scott, doing something that takes total concentration is a quick change. I don't know exactly what you mean by that, but it makes me think about the circuits of joy. So feel free to expand on that, Scott, when you want, if you want. Like when we can give something total concentration, it can be a rapid change of the state of our nervous system, right? Like my dog right now is sleeping. If I were to have him concentrate on these snacks, he'd come over quite quickly. Marcus, come. Instantly, he lifts up his head, right, from a like dead asleep position. And then he stretches and then he moves around. There you go, buddy. You want to catch? There it is. So, yes, we can concentrate. So let's concentrate. Find your 4 corners. And now I want you to stand. You know, where do you want to stand? I guess you could stand wherever you want. Take a look. Which one are you drawn to stand in first? I'm actually drawn to yellow first. So go stand in yellow with me. Okay. And just notice yellow is high energy, high pleasant. There's words like inspired, happy, playful, optimistic. I have to tell you, there is resistance inside of me. I still have circuits in my nervous system that don't like this. And that is okay, right? That's just a wave, right? Because it's expecting bad things when I'm happy because it's predicting the good things are going to go away, which, based on past experience, that's fair. But that's not subjectively true right now. What's objectively true in this room, nothing dangerous is happening. I'm standing on a piece of the floor. And so that helps me relax into yellow and seeing the world as yellow. And when I see the world as yellow, and you are with me seeing the world as yellow, I want you to finish this sentence. When I stand in yellow, people are. Okay. So when I stand in yellow, people are what? What are people when I stand in yellow? They are fantastically incredible, resilient, remarkable, unbelievably capable of doing hard things. And it's a privilege for me to get to interact with people. And even though it's definitely scary for me sometimes, it's a challenge that I am willing to take because the cost benefit ratio makes sense. So when I'm in yellow, that's how I finish the sentence people are, right? We see the world not as it is, but as we are. So when I'm in yellow, my gosh, do I want to be around people? It's challenging, but I have confidence in myself to deal with whatever comes up with people. All right, step out of your yellow. Now let's go blue. Low energy, low pleasant. Notice what happens in your body. Notice your posture, right? Notice any beliefs that come up like, ugh. That's not a belief, that's a body movement. Like, ugh, I feel like collapse, heavy, kind of gross, like, ugh. That's not how I want to be showing up, but that's what is. And I can't change it if I'm not aware of it. And if I want to maximize my effectiveness in the world, I'm going to be able to be in blue and not collapse into this neural expectancy that I'm going to die, the world's going to end. Like it's very catastrophic for me when I'm in blue. So again, orient to what's real and true. I'm in a room. I'm objectively physically safe just for now. And I'm standing on a piece of paper that happens to have a color on it. So there's nothing dangerous about this. But when I step into this physiological state, I will see the world in a certain way. We see the world not as it is, but as we are. Finish this sentence as you join me in blue. When I am in blue, people are the fucking worst. Like, I just wanna run away and hide. People are dangerous. People are scary. People are going to hurt me. People are going to hurt me so badly that I'm gonna never recover. My blue is a very pessimistic, negative, dreadful place to be. It doesn't have to be that way, but I can't change it if I'm not aware of it. We see the world not as it is, but as we are. When I am in blue, people are dreadful. They are the worst, and I need to run away from them. Now, move. Get onto a different place in your room because you can change your state. You can move your body. You can stand in different locations. Why don't we try green for a second here? I'm going to pause. Margaret said something here. Oh, I have an example. The focus and concentration in art class, right? So she changed her environment in an art class, which changed the context of how her brain's working. And she went into focus and concentration in art class, which is soothing for her ADH style brain. That's beautiful, right? Like you can learn to work with your brain, however you want to call it, ADHD or not. You, Margaret, have beautiful, credible evidence that your brain indeed can focus and concentrate. What a gift to know. Okay, let's head over to green. Find green. Green is low energy, but high pleasant. Notice for a moment how your body feels in green. Mine, I have two very quick things that come up, a whole lot of peace and a sense of panicked tightness in the back of my neck. Again, I can't change it if I'm not aware of it. Parts of my nervous system really love green, and there's still circuits in the back of my neck that tense up and resist green. Again, because of this neural expectancy. Right? Like my nervous system expects the worst, as does yours, because of 50 million years of evolutionary wiring, not a character flaw, not your fault. It's not you, it's your nervous system just doing what it's wired to do, which is to protect you. What we're doing here is giving you and your nervous system more options. So stay in the green, orient to safety. Notice that in this moment, probably just for now, you are objectively physically safe and nothing dangerous is occurring physically, objectively. So as you stand in green, we see the world not as it is, but as we are. As I stand in green, as you stand in green, finish this sentence. People are life-giving, rewarding, incredibly beautiful. They evoke humility and appreciation and gratitude in me. It is a privilege. I get to work with people, and as I get to work with my own nervous system, as I work with people, I can feel far more balanced in my life, and I'm so appreciative of that. And that's really cool. It's like my hand just came here to my womb where, you know, things are created in the body, in the womb of a woman. And that's a beautiful thing. I can create new life experiences for myself because we see the world not as it is, but as we are. So when I stand in green, I can see people as a vital gift to my life. And as I work with them and my own nervous system, I learn more strategies. I build new circuits to engage with people in a more balanced, life giving way that resources all of us. So that's green. Step on out. I'm going to come on over here. Oh, Scott. Well said, Margaret. Margaret, we're all rooting for you. Scott's in yellow for you. And I bet you're pretty proud of yourself too. So, last and final 4D perspective taking square. Come on over to red. Take a minute to orient to red in your body. Oh, what do you notice come up for you when you're in that higher energy, lower pleasant place? I again noticed two things come up for me. There's like this excitement, like, oh, yay, I'm out of blue. But then so much tension, like my legs went rigid, my whole torso, my lower back got really tense. Like there's just this global tension. And I feel a little sick and nauseated. And so I just have this desire to shake it off because oftentimes that's helpful for me as I ride the wave, right? Like that first recognition of awareness of how does my body respond in red? And then I ride that wave, still feeling a little sick, but it is settling down as I orient to safety. My body, my breath, everything objectively is not dangerous in this moment just for now. What a gift that I can use my cognition, my executive functioning to retrain my nervous system and how it shows up in any given state of arousal or pleasantness. So we see the world not as it is, but as we are. When I stand in red, when you stand in red, finish this sentence. When I stand in red, people are, first thought, best thought that comes to my mind, fucking monsters. I hate them. I want to run away from them. I want to smash them. Like they're fucking always wanting something from me. God dang it. I am cussing like a sailor because I fucking hate people. They're the worst. And I'm screwed because I also love people. And then I end up in this gnarled, ready to fight position. We see the world not as it is, but as we are. I work with people, my friends. The amount of burnout that I have had as a caregiver, as a professional healthcare provider is real. I think I've gone through probably 9 to 12 different rounds of burnout as a healthcare provider and a business owner. Why? Because my nervous system's most chemically comfortable, familiar self historically has been red. And I am working with people. So then I'm fighting against my very own nature that wants to run away from people or fight people. And yet I love them and I want to work with them. I am better served to step out of red and over to green. And remember that all of these colors are normal, natural parts of life. We need all of them to experience a wholehearted way of living in the world. None are good or bad or right or wrong. They are just different states of your nervous system, just like there's different gears in a car. I learned how to drive on a stick shift. It's becoming a lost art. But my dad was a auto mechanic and race car driver trained in Switzerland. And the first time I sat behind the wheel of a car was a stick shift on a hill. And he had me play with the gas and the clutch and develop a feel. We can develop a nuanced feel of our own nervous system through this mood meter map. And we can start to develop more 4D perspectives of the world. And then we make things less wrong. We just recognize, oh, red gear produces red results. Green gear produces green results. It's not bad or wrong. It just is a natural biological expression of that particular state of the nervous system. Man. Yeah, Scott, occupational burnout is a thing. I want to hear some of your sentences. People are fill in the blank. What did you discover as you did this with me? What are people when your system is red? What are people when your system is blue? What are people when your system is yellow? What are people when your system is green? None of it's wrong. What do you want it to be? And Scott, occupational burnout is a thing because so many of us are living in a nervous system that's wired with so much threat. And of course it is. Look at the world around us. There's been a lot of things over the last few years that have been beautiful food for our negativity biased brain. And we have inadvertently developed these nervous system circuits that are just riddled with threat and fear and stress and red and blue. And it's showing up in our long ass laundry lists of diagnoses and problems. And it is just terrible. It's good job security for me, I'll tell you that much, but I don't necessarily want or need that. I would rather just be supporting and connecting my fellow humans because at the end of the day, I have a love for humanity that I don't understand. I think it's my own source. I think it's divine living in me that just loves humanity and wants all of us to be doing and feeling better. It's available for us, my friends. All right. Talk to me because I want to end this. If you don't, it's not true. I could do this forever. And that's also not true. My love of this is forever. My love of people is forever. Where are we? Here we go. Scott, politics is not good for my view on humans. I won't disagree with you, Scott. It can be so polarizing and black and white and negatively focused. And what I just met a news reporter the other day, and it's like, if it bleeds, it leads. Like that idea of like, the worse it is, the better. And that's media, but politics is, ugh, I don't want to feel sick right now, so I'm not going to talk more about it because I'd rather go to green and yellow and lean into co-regulating with Helen Keller, who said, the world is filled with suffering, and it is also filled with the overcoming of that suffering. And that, my friends, is why I do the work I do. And that is why I share it with you, is so that we can overcome, because we are built in hardwired, factory installed to heal. And it's not just lip service. The evidence supports what I'm saying. Resilience lives in all of us. Did you know I'm reading another book by George Bonanno? I just finished up his first book, The Other Side of Sadness, and he came out with The End of PTSD within the last year. And I just started it this past week. I didn't know this. 9/11, people that were in the building and lived and got out, only 30% of them reported experiencing trauma. And 30% is a lot. That's real, that's true, that's not an experience I would wanna have. It's horrific. So I'm not minimizing it on anybody. But if 30% were traumatized, that means 70% reported that they weren't. And then the story goes, "Oh, they're in denial." That's not what 30 years of Bonanno's research and other resiliency research shows. The research shows we just naturally are resilient people. And it's beautiful. And even the 30% that were reporting themselves as traumatized, 6 months later, that number was less. So we are designed to recover. And I think that's true. And I also, just my own personal experience here with myself and patients, with long-standing physical pain, long-standing emotional anxiety, depression, like we can do better and we do, but our nervous system can stay stuck. And that's often what needs help in completing a stress response cycle. And that's why we want to develop the skills to develop that flexibility and nimbleness in our nervous system ninja. Angry Peach, what a joy to see you today. And you're coming in as I'm going out. If anybody has any final sharings that they would like to share, I would love to hear. And if not, that's okay too. Oh, Angry Peach. Ooh, that's my face too. I'm happy to see you and sad that I'm leaving. And I'm happy to know that I will be here again next week. If you are watching this later, thank you for staying here to the end. If you are here live, thank you for staying here to the end. I very much appreciate all of you. And let's notice your body, notice your breath. See if you can find something in your world that is green or yellow, that has some degree of pleasantness available to it, and it need not be complicated. It could be the way the light is shining on a particular painting or leaf or wall, but just get really present to that. Soak that up for 12 seconds. And notice that on some level, there's a part of you that can really pay attention to that visual cue. And that visual cue registers somewhere in your body. And if you spend 12 seconds soaking and savoring that experience in your body, you can congratulate yourself because you have just done a rep to upgrade your nervous system's ability to be more joyful, more healthy, and more loving towards yourself and others. Have a beautiful week, everybody, and we'll catch you next time. All right. Take care. Bye.